Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I want to thank the organizers for all their incredible hard work in putting this WhaleFest on. This is my first WhaleFest, so I'm super excited to be here. And I am going to take you on a journey today over the past 25 years. I'd like to start off with acknowledging Lori Jemison, Kate Savage, and Mike Williams, who co-founded the Pinniped Entanglement Group, or PEG, with me. Sorry, I can't see. Hang on. Okay, so this journey starts when I first started learning about marine debris a long time ago. And then I learned more about interactions of Steller sea lions and other pinnipeds, which pinnipeds are seals and sea lions. And then learned more about entanglements, how that led to injury and death, and wondering what I could do about that. So I really love this quote: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go together or far, go together. So everything I'm going to be talking about today is a result of everybody entwined, working together, not only in Alaska, but across the world. So if I can see a raise of hands, who remembers the sea lion from Sitka in 2018? Awesome, lots of you. So I want you to think about him while I'm giving this talk. We're going to come back to him at the end and just show that some of the things that we learned over the past several years helped us be able to get him back to the water. So a little bit of background. I was born in Ohio, but we moved to Southern California when I was 3 years old. And I kind of attribute my love for all animals to my mom. We were the family who put every spider and bug outside. We took in all kinds of stray animals. These are all stray cats we took in. So I really grew up loving animals. I also was a Girl Scout all the way from brownies when I was 6 years old up into high school. So lots of camping. And then I was really lucky to have parents that got us out camping every month. Even though I lived in the city, my dad was a pilot, so we could see the Los Angeles airport from our house. But it was right next to the ocean, which was awesome to grow up next to the water. And I was lucky enough to get out into nature a lot. And my first trip to Alaska, in that bottom right photo, is when our family went to Alaska in 1976 for a 1-month-long camping trip. So I got my undergrad degree at Humboldt State University in wildlife management, worked on a trout project for about 5 months, worked on woodrats. After school, worked on songbird studies in the Sierra foothills, a herring project. Got married to Rob, who you'll hear from in a couple hours. We got married. Of course, my dog Keisha was in the wedding. She was our flower girl. Then we worked on a spotted owl project. Went back to school at Moss Landing Marine Labs. I did my master's on harbor porpoise. Rob did his on harbor seals, and we kind of worked together on those projects. A bunch of other marine mammal projects. Moved to Anchorage in 1995. And then I just was really interested in getting a lot of different experience. So I did marine mammal surveys out at sea for a couple months here and there. I did seabird studies in Prince William Sound, worked out in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands on monk seals, banded Laysan finches. So lots of different fun projects until I kind of landed working with Steller sea lions, which I completely love, and hopefully I'll get you to love them as well. But started working for Fish and Game in 1998. And the reason we were doing Steller sea lion studies is they had taken a dramatic decline from the 1970s until the early 2000s. They declined by over 80%. So we were looking at the population, doing a lot of comparative studies. The whole population was listed as threatened in 1990, And then the population was split into an eastern and western population. Let's see, right there along the 144-degree west longitude line. Based on genetic and other evidence, the western population was reclassified as endangered. The eastern population remained threatened. But in 2013, the eastern population was doing well and was delisted from the Endangered Species Act. Unfortunately, the western population is still not doing well. So I'm going to use a couple terms I'm not sure everybody is familiar with, rookeries and haulouts. So rookery is where the sea lions come ashore, the females give birth, the males set up their territory. So those 3 red circles there, those are circling adult males. All the other large animals are adult females that come ashore, figure out where they want to give birth. And then all the little guys there are the pups. And then a haulout is just a resting area. And there's no structure to a haulout. It's all a mix of ages and sexes. So males are sexually mature between 3 to 8 years of age, but they don't start holding a territory till they're 9 to 11. They have to be at their maximum fitness because they're not eating that entire time. So they're fasting for about 6 to 8 weeks. So females reproduce for the first time at 4 to 6 years of age. They usually remain with their pup up to a couple weeks. They mate, and then they start doing regular trips out to sea and then coming back to feed the pup. The pups are born from May through July with a peak usually in early June. And then it's real variable for weaning. We used to think they weaned at 1 year of age, and now it's, with the data that we've collected, it's like maybe 50% have weaned by year 1, but a lot of them continue to wean into year 2 and 3. And because I know a lot of you have probably seen branded Steller sea lions, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's part of our story as well. So the reason we brand sea lions is they don't really have any good natural marks to identify individuals. So they're put under anesthesia. They're branded with a hot brand like you would brand cattle. We get survival and reproductive rates, movement and distribution. We can tell, that gives us the information about weaning and that kind of information. So the letter that you see denotes where the sea lion was born. The number is the individual, and we only brand on the left side. So if you're out and you see a V brand, that's from Graves Rocks. White Sisters is W, H is Hazy, and Forester is F. There's also branded animals out in Prince William Sound, Kodiak, and out in the Aleutian areas. Okay, so all of that backstory is because we were out doing brand resite surveys at rookeries and haulouts throughout Southeast Alaska, Northern British Columbia, Prince William Sound. We started this work in the year 2000, and because we were at all of these haulouts and rookeries, looking at the animals, doing counts, we started seeing a lot of entangled individuals. So we started collecting that data. So just from 2000 through 2023, we identified a minimum of 870 individuals either entangled in marine debris or that had swallowed fishing hooks. And this is just primarily in Southeast. The number 1 entanglement here in Southeast Alaska are plastic packing brands, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with. They're on all kinds of shipping boxes now. Followed by black rubber bands used in pot fisheries, nets and ropes, and garbage and debris. About half of the entanglements are interactions with fishing gear, and mostly in Southeast Alaska, I'm sure many fishermen know, are with the salmon hook and line fishery. So you see the big lure or flasher hanging from the mouth, which means the animal has swallowed a hook. We also see some longline gear and some other miscellaneous hooks. And both sexes and all age classes interact with fisheries. So at the time in the late 90s and early 2000s, we were capturing a lot of juvenile animals because that looked like the part of the population that was having a hard time recovering. So we were doing a lot of studies, and the way we did that is we had a 50-foot line with a buoy on the end, the top left picture there, and a noose on the other end. We put 2 divers in next to a haul out, and the young animals would come over and be very curious. One of the divers has a noose. The other diver has a frozen herring on the end of a pole, and the animals are so interested, they stick their head through the noose. We noose them. They come up, we pull the buoy to the side of the boat. We put this blanket into the water, pull them into our boat, into a capture box, take them back to our main vessel to take blood, take samples, put satellite tags, that kind of stuff. But the biggest one, the biggest animal that we handled like this was 535 pounds. So it's kind of whoever comes to get captured. So we can't specifically find individuals, and we can't capture adults because why is Kim showing a picture of a car? So this is a Fiat 500, and it's actually a little less long than an adult male Steller sea lion, weighs about the same. So adult male Steller sea lions weigh up to 2,400 pounds, adult females 800 to 900 pounds, and juveniles up to about 500 pounds. So at the time, we had no safe way to capture adult sea lions that were entangled. At the time, there was only the drug telazol, which if you dart a sea lion with telazol and it jumps into the water, it will drown because it doesn't retain the breathing reflex. So we didn't have a safe way to capture these guys. So we decided to focus on prevention. So in 2009, we started the Pinniped Entanglement Group, or PEG, with 4 of us. And we currently have 205 members in 20 countries now. And the different colored countries are where our PEG members currently reside. And we are a global community dedicated to the safety and welfare of pinnipeds, which again are seals and sea lions. And our mission is to reduce pinniped entanglement and marine debris and fishing gear through education, outreach, and rescue. So our objectives are to increase the awareness about entangled pinnipeds, educate about entanglements, find solutions, improve and expand upon response techniques, and then, of course, safely rescue and release. So each of these colored dots corresponds to a different species around the world that our PEG members are responding to. But again, we really need to keep all these materials out of the ocean. We need to prevent marine debris and fishing gear from entering the ocean so that we don't have a lot of entangled animals because we can only reach a very small number of them. So we're big on communication, collaboration. We put out 2 newsletters a year. We have a website now. We share our tools and techniques. We're on social media. We have a shared Google Drive where we share publications, that kind of thing. We have in-person workshops, video calls, and we have 2 publications that we're actually going to submit next month. So that's pretty exciting. We also, through NOAA, created a pinniped entanglement response best practice document to help others that are starting this kind of work. And a lot of our PEG members contributed information to this document. So 13 years of watching these entangled animals, collecting data, and not being able to help them. Finally, some really intelligent veterinarians came up with a drug combination of medetomidine, midazolam, and butorphanol. And when you dart an animal with a sea lion with this combination and it goes into the water, it'll retain its breathing reflex. So we can go over and capture it. And there are reversals for these drugs as well. So you can reverse the animal quickly. So basically what we do is estimate the weight of the sea lion so we know how much to give it. Our veterinarian, who is Kate Savage, will dart the sea lion. This is the first year when Marty Helena, who's one of the veterinarians that came up with this drug, came out to kind of show us how to do all this. And this was our first capture pull, which was a complete failure. It was like a limp noodle, and trying to, get that around the neck of a sea lion and pull him alongside the boat was a miserable failure. So we came into Sitka, went to put our heads together. What do we need? We need something more rigid that we can easily get around the sea lion's neck, but we still need to pull them along shore. So this is what we came up with. It works beautifully. It's worked really, really well. And now we have the ability, if the sea lion goes into the water, to pull them easily alongside the boat. It's much easier if they stay on shore. We always, of course, the first thing we're doing is removing the entanglement, but if we have time, we try to take samples. We're really interested in survival after we release the animals. So sometimes we'll glue a GPS satellite tag to the top of the head. That gives us really detailed information. And then we tested out this flipper satellite tag. We're the first ones to try it out on sea lions, and it really works well. We can get up to 2 years of battery life, whereas the head mount satellite tag will fall off when the animal molts, usually in August or September. So it doesn't give us very long-term data. So then we mark, sample, we can reverse the sea lion and let him go. And this is just an example of some of the track lines of some of the animals that we've released, and just kind of give you an idea of, just their movement patterns. Some of them just take off and go, like the pink guy went right up to Kayak Island. Others stayed around Southeast. Also, we were able to get a grant to do some training. We really need to pass this knowledge along and increase capacity in Alaska so that we have more people that can do this. Because right now it's just a small group that has the experience. We really need to teach others. So the Shunak tribe and Alaska Department of Fish and Game were able to get some money to do some training. So we went over there a couple of years in a row. And the first year we were there, we were able to disentangle this little girl here. She was just a year old. She had a really bad neck entanglement. This is her in the bottom right there after we released her. She's got a little plastic flipper tag. We didn't put a satellite tag on her because she was so small, but she's suckling from her mom, so that was pretty exciting to see. And then this is last year. This is an adult male in Kodiak. Top left, Kate's getting ready to dart the sea lion. There he is getting darted. And if they're really calm and asleep, and they sometimes don't really know because it feels like a little bee sting, they'll stay on shore, which is so much easier to handle. And this is just, it takes about 15 to 25 minutes for them to fall asleep. And luckily, when he fell asleep, he put his head right on the rail there, which was perfect. Kept his airway open, so that was good. And then this is just another video just showing just the sheer size. So we're cutting the packing band off his neck right here. And there's 3 of us right there. And you could just look at why it's so much easier to do this on shore than to hold him alongside the boat. Oops, sorry. Boy, I don't know what I just did. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so this is what he looks like afterwards. And you may think this is a little overkill, putting all this pink on him and numbers and all that. We use Miss Clairol hair dye to dye a number on the side. And the reason we do this, especially in a busy harbor, is we have a stranding hotline. And if we're getting calls about an entangled animal, because you can still see that's a terrible scar there after we remove the entanglement, we know that we've already disentangled this guy and that, he's somebody that we can watch out for. So he's got a head mount tag and a flipper tag. And the really great thing about this is a lot of the fishermen, he was right in the commercial harbor there. And, one of the fishermen said, we don't like sea lions, but nobody wants to see an animal like that suffer. And so they really were great at calling us and letting us know he's here, so that Kate, Lori and I were able to fly over from Juneau and dart him. And he started feeling better just a couple weeks after we released him. He headed up to Marmot Island Rookery, and he was seen by Fish and Game who were doing surveys. He was hanging out with the ladies, so that was great. And then he was seen in the harbor again in early January, and because he had that satellite flipper tag, we knew it was him because by then his head mount tag had fallen off, the dye was gone, but he still had his flipper tag. So we were getting a lot of hits from that tag and knew that he was still there. Okay, so we still have the issue of all the interactions with fisheries, and we really wanted to try to help solve that issue. So we were simultaneously working on trying to find an effective deterrent. So as probably most fishermen know, most deterrents don't work, or they are short-term effective. A lot of the acoustic deterrents, the animals are just really smart. They get used to them, and they don't work long-term. So we really needed to all work together and come up with another deterrent that we could test. So in 2019, we had a Steller sea lion salmon fishery interaction workshop that was made available because I was able to get a grant to do this. And is Eric Jordan in the audience? I saw him around, but he was our facilitator. And we had the workshop at a venue that fishermen were comfortable with and at the timing that they were comfortable with. And it ended up being a really great workshop. We were there to listen and learn from fishermen. And one of the fishermen came up with the Sea Lion Avoidance Working Group. That's what we were after that. And working together, Lori Jemison was able to get a grant to test the targeted acoustic startle technology. And here's a list of all of our collaborators. So our goal was to deter sea lions away from salmon hook and line fisheries. So the targeted acoustic startle technology, or TAST, is really great because it has low noise doses. It's not like this, blaring sound that a lot of the acoustic deterrents use. The noise level is targeted for specific species, so you can actually target it within their hearing range. It works on the startle reflex in the brain, so it's less likely that the animals will become habituated to it. And so this is kind of the system we started with: the battery, the brain or the pod, and the speakers. That's what was being used at the time at fish farms in Europe. The first thing we did is Lori and I took it down to DIPAC in Juneau, and we stuck it in the water right next to the salmon because we wanted to prove to ourselves and also to the fishermen that it wasn't going to have any kind of negative effect on salmon. It shouldn't because it's not in their hearing range, but we wanted to prove it, and yep, no reaction. And then we did a couple of years of field tests off Indian Islands and off a couple of trawlers. And during that time, Thomas Getz, who was one of the inventors of the test, worked with engineers, and they got it to be in this one unit here, so much better. And this is a video that Thomas put together, just showing you some of the exposure. So you can see couple animals there. The sound just went through, scared them away. This is just showing them moving further away from the boat. And then the hardest part, I think, with the trolling was trying to do the tests when there was actually a sea lion behind the boat. But so far, it's been really effective. That's that. So we did 90 trials. That fishery pod that Thomas is holding there was the most effective. We had up to a 94% reduction in sea lion predation events within 40 meters of the boat. So it just works, pretty close to the boat. and a reduction in sea lion interactions with fisheries. And Fish and Game put in another grant to try to continue this work. So hopefully they will be successful. We also had some marine mammal virtual deterrent workshops. We had interviews that our facilitator did, but with fishermen ahead of the workshop, so we knew kind of how to gear it. Again, our goal was to listen and learn. And we wanted to improve our understanding about the gear interactions with marine mammals and identify deterrents that people were using, either that were working or didn't work. And again, most of them did not work. We then worked with the Marine Fishery Advisory Committee, or MAFAC, on a deterrent survey, and they sent this survey out nationwide last year, again, to learn about marine mammal interactions with a goal to help NOAA identify and prioritize deterrents to test for effectiveness. Unfortunately, with the new administration, MAFAC has been disbanded, so this is kind of on pause, but hopefully it'll get back in there. Okay, so what can we all do to help? Well, this is one of my favorite quotes by Gandhi: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." So the first thing we can do is lose the loop. So we can all cut any loop before we discard it in the trash, and you will save lives. I mean, even the little tabs on milk containers, you know, those can get caught around a fish or a bird, so we can lose the loop. We can modify. So this is Rob, my husband's crab pot. You know, it comes with the loop black band. He just cut it, does the same thing. You just tie it on, and then if for some reason it falls off, it's no longer a loop. Since I'm always kind of interested in learning more about marine debris and what everybody's doing, I came across this documentary called Plastic is Forever, which was made by Dylan DeHaze when he was 12 years old. And in that documentary, he was talking about the Ocean Guardian School program. And I was new to NOAA, and so I really didn't know anything about it. And I asked around, and nobody knew about it. So anyway, we talked to the director, and she was super excited about bringing it to Alaska. So I asked my boss if we could try to pilot it with a couple of schools. Had nothing to do with my job description, but he said yes, which was awesome. And we were able to bring it up to Alaska. So it's a national marine sanctuary. It's managed by National Marine Sanctuaries. It's a commitment to the protection and conservation of local watersheds, the world's oceans, and special ocean areas like national marine sanctuaries. And it provides an opportunity for students, teachers in the community to participate in environmental and sustainable activities. And I know we have some Ocean Guardian School there. So there's Kat Walker, who's a teacher at Diamond High School, and a lot of her students who are here. So if anybody's interested in learning more about the Ocean Guardian School, please ask them. They're doing an amazing job. So the students can take one of 5 different stewardship project pathways. So this is a student-driven projects. They can work on marine debris issues, 6 R's, which are to refuse, rethink, reduce, reuse, rot or composting, recycle. They can work on watershed restoration, school and habitat gardens, and energy and ocean health. And the cool thing about this, it's a national program. So there are students working on this throughout the whole nation. So it's kind of a big collaborative, interwoven collaboration. So Michelle Dutro, who you'll hear from tomorrow, she created this infographic. And this is just 1 year. We have 7 participating Ocean Guardian schools right now. So over 1,000 students in Alaska, over 2,000 kilograms of food waste composted, over 1,000 kilograms of trash removed from schools and communities, almost 1,600 student hours dedicated to trash removal, over 38,000 plastic water bottles kept out of the landfill, and 29 recycling bins, and much, much more. So this is just 7 schools and all these amazing students, so super inspiring. We can all contact manufacturers. Maybe we can get them to stop using so many plastic packing bans, which are causing the death of lots of animals around the world. We can all practice the 6 Rs, not just the Ocean Guardian School kids. We can get involved in community cleanups, which we'll hear more about from Christina tomorrow, which will be exciting. You're welcome to do my marine debris exercise plan, which is you find trash, you bend and lift, you place it in a bag, and you repeat. So that's a good exercise. If you do see entangled or stranded animals, there's a 24-hour hotline for NOAA, which actually it's contracted, so it's still happening right now. So you talk to a person, you can give them that information, and that's really crucial for us to be able to get out and help if we can. And another great quote, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. The Dalai Lama said that. So this is somebody, Afra Shah. I saw him at a marine debris conference several years ago, and he so inspired me that I love to share his story. So in October of 2015, he and his 84-year-old neighbor started cleaning up Versova Beach in Mumbai, which is that bottom left photo. It's just covered in plastic. He started cleaning, and more volunteers started coming, and they cleaned up over 60 million pounds of garbage, most of it plastic, and turtles returned to nest on that beach for the first time after 20 years. So one person started that. Okay, how about our Sitka sea lion? So we're back to him. So, some people thought, oh, he's really sick, we should euthanize him, what's wrong? But he wasn't sick, he was just lost. He was in the woods, he couldn't find his way home. Because we had learned about how to dart with that, the different combination of drugs, Kate was able to dart him. We had to load him in a front end loader, put him on the back of a flatbed truck, take him to the harbor. We dyed a number on his side. We put the flipper tag on, the long-term flipper tag, woke him up, let him go, and he was out of here. He was not coming back to Sitka. I was so worried about him because I didn't hear from him for over a week, and he showed up on Kayak Island. So he beelined it out of Sitka. So I don't think he's coming back. I think he didn't really like the wood experience, but yeah. And then he went over to the Kodiak Island, Marmot area, hung out around there for a while until we lost his tag. And then I just think that this next poem was written by Christy Erickson. It was on Facebook in 2018, and it's about this sea lion. And I just think I think it kind of is a great way to talk about how we are all interwoven and interconnected. So she says, all I'm saying is I can't explain it, but when I felt personally invested in the well-being of that sea lion, like, haven't you ever been 1,500 pounds and shy and all your feelings were lost and you were high functioning, but also like not making very good choices? But, doing pretty well, all unnatural things considered, trying to go home, but also not go home, trying to be a better version of yourself, but also not doing anything at all whatsoever. Having no end game, but stubborn. I will not be moved, internal mantra, flops around, external mantra. Anyway, I heart that sea lion so bad, and I also heart the many folks in Sitka who spent days helping him return to the water. We all lose our way sometimes. We all need community. So I just think that's really awesome, and I'm sure you recognize some of the people in that photo that helped get that guy back to the water. So with that, I want to acknowledge everybody that's been involved in all of this work, such a huge collaboration, all of our PEG members around the world. This is where we started 25 years ago. Now we have an international Pinniped Entanglement Group working on prevention, collaboration. We now have the ability to disentangle Steller sea lions, and we're training others. We now have an effective deterrent for the first time. We have amazing Ocean Guardian School kids in Alaska and around the country that not only are doing an amazing job, but also constantly inspiring me. And, there's lots more to come. So thank you for your attention. Thanks for remembering to lose the loops, stash the trash, and keep all marine animals safe. And if you're interested in PEG or learning more, please let me know. Thanks.